Hey everyone, my name is Lauren, the founder of Mizuba Tea Co. I've worked in heritage Japanese tea for the past 12 years, and I wanted to take a moment because you may have heard about the global matcha boom or the matcha shortage of 2025. I've just returned from my trip to Japan spending time with our tea farmers and producers, and they have a lot of thoughts and perspectives that they'd love to share with you all. So I thought I'd take some time and talk through them. So the good news about Mizuba and our relationships, we have over 12 years of committed, dedicated friendships with our tea producers and partners. So I feel so blessed to say that our farms are really looking out for us, and that means Mizuba does have tea, and we will continue to have matcha in 2025. So I want to assure all of you that there will be tea available. Does that mean maybe some matcha teas are out of stock while others are in stock? Maybe you'll see a bit more variation in what we have to offer. And I can say we will have new matcha coming out, so stay tuned for that. So the matcha shortage, it's certainly a historic moment, and it is certainly real. When I began my career in tea, matcha was just about 2% of Japan's total tea production. And in this last year specifically, demand has vastly outpaced supply. And you're wondering, what does this mean for tea producers in Japan? To be honest, currently we're all trying to figure that out together. Many have resorted to rationing inventory for the year, some are no longer taking new clients, and some have stopped exporting out of the country altogether. Most are facing a massive reckoning, especially with the record high tencha prices at auction, but we'll get into that a little bit later when it comes to pricing. One of my Japanese colleagues said, "People follow the money, not matcha." And like any industry, I know this is sad, but it is true. And some companies out there see the skyrocketing popularity of matcha as just a way to make money. This is not Mizuba's path or why I fell into the tea business. I deeply love tea and the people that grow it, so to see our farms strained in this capacity is really wild. Of course, it is helpful to know that there is a range of how farmers and producers are viewing this situation. So for instance, aspects of high demand can be positive. Some tea farms and tea farmers are really thrilled at the prospect of increasing their revenue, and that's great. Therefore, many farms are excited to take steps and invest to make more matcha. So we spoke with a lot of people who are converting sencha fields to shaded tencha fields, which is the necessary step to make proper matcha. We visited a tencha factory that was being built. We also saw a brand new factory already on operation and heard from another friend how they just purchased 10 more stone mills. So there are people that are excited to take those steps. While some farmers are excited to, say, convert their fields, you can imagine some maybe don't appreciate feeling the pressure to do so. So one tough side effect of the matcha boom is that we will see the loss of some very beautiful specialized loose leaf green teas on the market as more farms use those same fields to grow tencha instead. I've already received some reports that some of my personal favorite loose leaf teas will not be made this year from the 2025 harvest because it all went to matcha production, and that can be hard. So harvesting more tencha is only one piece of the matcha puzzle. Farmers must also build additional factories to process tencha, which includes giant ovens specifically designed to make tencha. As you can imagine, this is a huge, massive financial investment. Many farmers have been skeptical or hesitant to invest such huge sums of money or take out loans with long-term obligations as they gauge how permanent or fleeting the high impact of this matcha trend is. So after tencha is steamed and dried, it must be milled into the fine green powder we all know as matcha. When it comes to milling, producers have another decision to make. Do they invest in traditional stone mills, or do we buy more modern milling equipment? A modern jet mill or ball mill can produce more matcha in less time, but maybe not at the same taste quality level as a traditional stone milled tea. All Mizuba matcha is stone milled, which is an incredibly slow process, so one mill can produce about 40 grams of matcha in 1 hour. That's just one tin. This can be at odds with the massive demand on farms and producers, as there's a huge impetus to make as much as possible. So That's just a few of the challenges at production level to consider, and yet still, there are many other effects from the increased demand, things that you might not have thought about. For example, this massive increase for matcha means that there is a huge increased need for packaging, which, as you probably can guess, currently has resulted in a shortage of matcha tins. So even if the producer has matcha ready to mill, there's been long delays and long waits to even get enough tins for the farmers to ship it, and packaging suppliers are facing lengthy production delays. All of this leads directly to the conversation around the price of matcha. As you probably know, matcha is only harvested late spring, early summer, and the way the vast majority of Japanese tea works is that after harvesting, farmers then process the fresh tea into tencha and sell it to producers, either directly or through an auction. It's relatively uncommon for a farmer to finish the tea and have their own brand. Mizuba works with both examples of farm to finish or with a chashi. The majority of tea companies in Japan are run by master tea blenders known as chashi, who are highly regarded for their skill in maintaining a unique and consistent flavor profile. These chashi are often the ones in charge of buying all the tea that's needed for the year, and so a lot of responsibility falls on their shoulders. We can get deeper into that in another video, but we've been talking to some of our producers about the 2025 Kyoto tea auction, which happened a few weeks ago and is currently in progress. And the amazing thing to see this year is that tencha prices at auction have tripled over last year. This is a massive increase, and all caused primarily by, the huge jump in demand, but also by a decrease in supply due to how hot last summer was. And it's always important to remember that matcha in all tea is an agricultural product and very affected by a variety of external factors every year. I know this can be a lot of information, and like our farm partners, we have all been wondering about silver linings together. There is a lot of hope. One aspect and a trend in Japan is that many young people haven't become very motivated to be tea farmers, and as one of our producers said, if farmers stop harvesting, we don't have a job. So one of the hopes is that an increase in the value of matcha will lead to an increase in people who are excited to grow it. But maybe the biggest silver lining right now in this moment of time is that everybody does want Japanese tea. So the dominating conversations I was having even just 5 years ago were farmers who were extremely concerned about if the Japanese tea industry was going to survive in the next decade. And that's because domestic consumption was severely declining. Tea fields were being abandoned. 4 out of every 5 tea producer in Japan had quit in the past 20 years. And so the hope with this moment in time, with the increased global demand, is that this increased interest will motivate younger generations to be interested in farming, to be interested in learning all about Japanese tea. So as I was on the plane flying home, I'm always left just in awe for all the effort, time, and skill that goes into growing high quality matcha. So at the end of the day, the farmers deserve to be well compensated, and they're just so responsible for what we enjoy in life. I'd like to reiterate that this is just only one data point based only on my experience on the ground with our producing partners. And while matcha producers in Japan are certainly not a monolith, many of our tea farms and producers do share these fears and excitement around matcha's newfound popularity. So we're deeply grateful if on your next matcha moment you can have a newfound and maybe broader appreciation for all the work that goes into it. As always, Mizuba Tea is dedicated to supporting our farm partners in Japan by paying fair prices, never compromising on quality, and supporting all of you wonderful folks as best we can. We're always here for you, so please feel free to drop any thoughts or questions in the comments below, and I'll take time to answer them. Again, we really appreciate you, and all our tea farms in Japan do too.